Unbelievable. This guy's smoking hot. And you don't want to miss the second annual Victory Brewgrass Fest at the Valley Preferred Cycling Center in Briningsville, Pennsylvania from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. It's this Saturday, September 20th. WEEU will be broadcasting live from the Velodrome. I'll be there from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And the headliner for this year, you just heard him, Michael Cleveland and his band Flamekeeper. Michael has won numerous awards for his fiddle playing, including Fiddle Player of the Year. Listen to this, folks. Fiddle Player of the Year, 2001, 2002, 2004, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, and 2011. He is one of the world's preeminent fiddling champions, and he's joining us right now on our Newsmaker line. Michael, good morning.
Hello, how are you?
I am loving life, my friend. How about yourself?
All doing great, man. Thanks a lot for having me.
Oh, you bet. And is this going to be your first visit to this part of Pennsylvania?
It is. Yeah, I believe it is.
We are looking forward to having you. I was watching a video of you performing at the 2012 International Bluegrass Music Association Fan Fest in Nashville.
Yeah, I heard that cut. I didn't think that was the record.
You were playing Lee Highway Blues, right. And that's the cut we came out of the break with. And I tell you what, Michael, you're playing with your soul, man. It was like that fiddle was an extension of your body.
Oh, I appreciate it.
I mean, that's amazing. And I'm looking at your bio. You picked up listen to this, folks. He picked up the fiddle at age 4, and it wasn't too long after that. He was playing the Grand Ole Opry. He played before the United States Congress by his early teens. And, Michael, you did all of this. You've been legally blind since you were young. Many would say that's incredible.
Well, I guess so. I really didn't think of it that way. It was just a normal thing for me, and it wasn't a huge adjustment or anything because I was born blind, so I didn't know either. I didn't know any other way. So, and the school that I went to was a school for the blind in Louisville, Kentucky, and all the teachers were well accustomed to teaching visually impaired kids, and especially the music program, which I'm really thankful for. I was taught from the time I started playing to learn how to play by ear, and I think that helped me more than anything ever did to train my ear really early.
I mean, it just felt right, Michael, huh?
Well, it took a while to, when I first started, I really wanted to do this, and the thing that made me want to do it is, my grandparents, they were huge bluegrass fans. None of my family ever played, but my grandparents were really instrumental in starting this bluegrass association in Henryville, Indiana, and they used to take me to all these bluegrass shows and jams, everything else, and I always was a huge fan of the music, and I guess the day I figured out that I really wanted to play was I heard a fiddle player, and I'm sure I've heard fiddle before, anymore, but the time I really paid attention to it, I heard a fiddle player play the Orange Blossom Special, and that was a very huge thing for me. I remember, I don't remember much else from that time, but I remember hearing that and knowing that this is something that I had to do. I had to learn that. But when I went to school and started trying to learn how to play, it was about a year before I could play anything. It's just, as a matter of fact, everybody thought for the first year that I wasn't going to be able to play. And just because it just didn't, it didn't click for me. I didn't make any kind of connection whatsoever until about a year and a half, and then I actually started really learning how to play. But, yeah.
And everything kind of fell into place. Well, let me ask you, who were some of your favorites in bluegrass music that influenced you when you were growing up? Because you said your grandparents got you into it, you're going to these different concerts. Who are some of your favorites?
Well, what was really cool is, and what was pretty readily available as far as fiddle music went, were these fiddle compilation albums. And the good thing about those, it was like 30 fiddlers' greatest hits and, fiddle and country style and albums like that. But the great thing about albums like that is you got exposed to everybody. So, you get an album like that, you're going to hear Scotty Stoneman and Benny Martin and Chubby Wise and Curly Ray Klein and Red Heron, and all these great fiddle players on one album, and you get exposed to all these different styles. And so I just always kind of listened to everybody, and as I got older, and still, I've gained the appreciation for more and more of the players. But I got to say that Benny Martin would be one of my top influences. Kenny Baker and Chubby Wise, definitely, and Bobby Hicks. And I've had the honor of meeting all those guys, Vassar, and I've been really fortunate to be able to meet a lot of my heroes.
Oh, that is so cool. Let me ask you something. I've always wondered this, Michael. What's the difference between playing the fiddle and playing the violin? Is it the way you hold it? Is it the style of music you're playing?
Yeah, it's mostly the style. Other than a few minor setup differences that classical players prefer. It's tuned the same. It's the exact same instrument. It's basically how you play it.
And do you still practice every day?
I wish. I need to.
Oh, no, you don't, man. You're amazing out on stage.
No, I need all the help I can get.
Because you know what, Michael? This is something that you can't fake. It really appears that you're having a great time out on stage performing.
Oh, yeah, I do. And I honestly love to play, and I'm not tired of it yet, and the weird thing about it is that we'll come in from a show or, a big weekend of touring or whatever, and I've even had times, been out 2 or 3 weeks or a month and come back home and find out that there's some local things going on, and chances are, unless something drastic happens, I'm usually out in the middle of it. I just like to play.
That's great.
And, regardless of course, I have this band that you all are going to hear this weekend, and then I got a few other things that I do here locally, and also I have the privilege to fill in with a lot of people.
You played with a lot of greats over the years. By the way, who thought of the name Flamekeeper?
Well, that name came from the A&R guy for Rounder Records, and his name was Ken Irwin. And I had an album. I did a solo record, the first solo record I ever did that was on a label. And, of course, it was on Rounder, and did that record, and it's getting ready to come out. We're trying to think of the title for the record, and I'm the worst at titling anything. As far as original music or album titles or anything, I mean, that's not my thing right there usually. I got a bunch of original music that I've got sitting around with no names just because I draw a blank. But,
yeah.
Anyhow, Ken, I guess after listening to the record, and I don't know, I'm sure there were some other people who helped decide, but they called and they were like, since this is a real traditional bluegrass album, not only traditional fiddle music, you're paying tribute to all these guys, and you're adding your own elements to it as well, and with all the, singing, and this is a great tribute to traditional bluegrass music, so why don't we call it Flamekeeper? And I don't know why, but at the time I totally despised that name. I have no idea why, because I'm pretty happy with it now.
Yeah.
But, I mean, for the first 6 months, I was like, why Flamekeeper? Why not Keeper of the Flame or this and that? Or, well,
Yeah.
But, I mean, now, they were right. I was wrong. So.
That's a great story. Who do you like to listen to when you're not playing?
Well, as I get older, I find myself into all kinds of music, not just bluegrass. Of course, man, when I listen to bluegrass, I like to listen to, I like old bluegrass, and I like a lot of the newer stuff as well. But I also listen to some country, rock, jazz, and even started listening to some pop here recently. But yeah, it just kind of varies. I read a lot of audio books also, but yeah, that's I don't know. I used to be hardcore, bluegrass, nothing but bluegrass. Really had no interest in listening to anything else. But tell you what, here in the past, I'd say 10 years or so, I'll listen to just about anything as long as it's good music. I'm not into any kind of rap or metal or anything like that. But pretty much anything, that I guess, in my opinion, I consider good music, I'll listen to.
Very good. A very eclectic style there. You like a lot of different kinds of music. All right, Michael, and I really appreciate you hanging with us for so long, and we appreciate your time. What can we expect from Michael Cleveland and Flamekeeper this Saturday at the second annual Victory Brewgrass Fest? You guys are going to be taking the main stage at 3:15, and what can we expect?
Well, we try to put on a high-energy show with traditional bluegrass. As I say, we try and pay tribute to the guys like Bill Monroe and Jimmy Martin and Reno Smiley and folks like that. And we also try to add our own elements to it. You're going to hear from everybody in the band. You're especially going to hear some songs from a brand new record of ours. This is the first record years. So we're really excited about that. We'll be featuring a lot of material from that, as well as a lot of original material on that record. And I would say you're going to hear everything from gospel to vocal music to, well, plenty of fiddle music. Imagine that. But, yeah, we really have a good time, you know, and hope to see everybody out.
I just love how you go off on these solos, and you just never know where it's going to go. Do you ever get that feeling where you just go with the fiddle, huh?
Yeah, I definitely do, and sometimes it doesn't. I mean, it's I've always kind of been, you know, there's a greatness to either way you do it. You know, like Kenny Baker was a type of fiddle player who would work up a solo, and for the most part, you know, would play it the same way every time. You know, but a fiddle player like Scotty Stoneman or Richard Green, you know, or one of those guys, you never knew what you were going to hear.
Right.
And I always really admired that, you know, because my theory, and I like both styles. You know, Kenny Baker with Bill Monroe, I think that's one of the greatest fiddlers that Bill Monroe ever had, you know, and I think that and at Scotty Stoneman, it was just cool to listen to him, you know, and just hear him go nuts, you know, like, and the way I look at it, you know, if you went out and you listened, and, you know, if you were going to listen to a live show and you knew before you went that everything on the show was going to be exactly like it was on the record, why would you go?
It'd be kind of boring, right? It'd be very predictable, right?
Yeah, you know, and yeah, so that's kind of my theory on it. And I mean, there's stuff that I'll play the same way, and then I'll get on a thing, you know, maybe hear some lick that somebody else played, and that might influence me to take a whole nother direction. And I mean, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Well, Michael, we can't wait to meet you and see you out there Saturday. It's going to be a great concert, and safe traveling over here to the East Coast.
Oh, thank you. It's going to be a blast.
God bless. We'll see you on Saturday, Michael.
All right, thanks.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.